Welcome to Unmuzzled Chat. We don't need no fancy intro. We just want to jump right into it. The meat and potatoes, we don't have time for that. For frick's sakes, we got a nation to save. Then the world, right? We got this. Easy peasy. You know what? That actually leads into what I want to hit into right out the gate. What happened to America? Can we sit back and ponder that? What happened to once this great country? Still great, but nowhere it should actually be. I believe as we really hone in honestly with ourselves, it becomes very crystal clear as to what happened to America. Now, if we really step back, it just becomes clear. Evil never left this planet or this life. The serpent is here and all his minions. Tyranny never left. Rulers never left. The globalists, these elite clubs, these secret societies never left. It never went away. It has been alive and well in here this whole time. So it's clear it's infiltrated our government body, our corporations, pretty much every industry. And it is nothing shy of pure evil. Because when you look into what these secret societies and what is behind so much of these individuals and groups, it is disgusting. So given that this has never gone away, we have been more than blind, intolerant, and ignorant. We have been, in fact, funding our own demise for some time. We've been funding the very armies, if you will, that are waging war against us. And they have become quite effective, enslaving all of us, making us sick, weak, controllable, and more dependent. It's exactly where they want us. Please don't lie to yourself anymore. We must be honest with ourselves. Frankly, a lot of folks that, let's say, are having a hard time grasping what's been said thus far, let's be real. They're going to have a real hard time hearing what I want to share next. As to how well I do with it, as the other lady said, I suppose that's in the eye of the beholder, right? I want you to understand my intent. I want to ensure a better tomorrow for each and every one of you, for all of us. More health, more opportunity, more freedom. I want a booming economy to where the burdens of finances, it's just a non-issue. That it only takes one breadwinner in a home to supply enough for their whole entire family. I want food on the shelves, or the shelves to be filled with food that don't need special labels, because it's just that. It's nutritional goodness for your body that is going to help fill it with substance that's going to fuel it and help it function. Not substance like on current shelves that is going to lead you to an early grave, that's going to negatively diminish your quality of life, that's going to freaking bankrupt you due to how ill it will make you. You lose your health in this existence, man. You pretty much lose. What are you here for? That's exactly where they want us. That's why so many of our ingredients, so much of our food is illegal in 30 other countries. Illegal. They won't even allow it there. Americans slop it up every single day, blindly, and also Knowingly. Golly, there's something to be said there. At the point, it's knowingly. Why? I genuinely feel it's because there's a level of hackedness in those individuals, their resilience, their function isn't an operating system, isn't operating to, let's just, for lack of better words, full potential, right? It's really sad. Clearly, the substances are just perpetuating that as well. So once again, what happened to America? Well, ultimately, with what we just covered, what it boils down to is that we have allowed America to fall. We have allowed the deterioration up to this point. That's just a fact. We are the people. What we do with it from here is our choice. We can accept the level of deteriorated state and infiltration and cower and cave and bury our heads in the sand and, sit there and point the finger and no, it's not my fault, and get caught up in the smoke and the mirrors and the fluff, not focusing on the bigger picture and the real issues. We need some personal accountability here. Let me go first. It's not even about being guilty, but I'll say it in those words because I'm confident in stating it like that. It's not gonna scar me or cause trauma, but I am guilty of falling for their very evil, corrupt, very cunning infrastructure and the design of it all. And I drank that up for a long portion of my life. And I was a part of the issue in America's failings. I am excited to see what I'm able to connect thus far. I am excited to see the opportunities we have right here in front of us and the action we can take, all of us, every single day that's going to lead to a shift for the better, that is going to bless ourselves and everyone around us for the better. I think what it really boils down to at this point is we must do calls for no more secrecy. No more secrecy. I'm sad to see so many of my fellow patriots that I respect and admire, do not get me wrong. And they're not entirely lost per se. They still are bringing very valuable content and things to the table that are crucial. And they're having a very crucial, positive impact. And I'm so grateful for that. So I'm not here to bash and diminish, but my guy, like Charlie Kirk, Dan Bongino, so many of these patriots are getting caught up in these like nothing burger stories. Like Charlie Kirk, for example, his blind allegiance to Israel, I see as a big problem. Why? Because we've made it clear how corrupt things are here. So my question to Charlie is, are you there? Have you been there? Have you lived there? And we know the answer. Has your family been there for generations, or you have a connection there that's been there for generations that actually has the thumb on the pulse as to what in fact is going on? Because there's information coming from like both sides. There's two sides to the story. And at the end of the day, what I'm not for is murder and death, especially when it comes to innocent women and children. I'm anti-war. Now, I believe there to be a place and a time for that. But my gosh, Israel's not today what is depicted in the Bible, and all this Christian blind allegiance to this religious state. I don't get it. So without being there, it's just, and knowing the corruption, it's like these individuals, you should know better. Why are so much of the content, so many of these episodes just going into the smoke and the mirrors there? Because this is the fact of the matter is, if we can't rule out the corruption here and across the globe, which we we must do by these dang globalists, how on earth can you expect to even get to the bottom of like the truths there when there's so much propaganda and misleading things happening here? The military industrial complex has been a great tool for the globalists, the elites, the secret societies for some time now. And I am sick and tired of our men and women getting engaged in our tax dollars going towards these endless wars. We must step back and rule out the corruption. That is the priority. When we move the needle on that, so many of the other things get fixed pretty much with it simultaneously, and some of them eventually, but a lot quicker than, it's kind of like we touched on the other day. There's all these different angles of attack we could identify from the food, from the chemtrails, from the frequencies, from biowarfare, and how we're dogs chasing its tail trying to eradicate. I mean, they're all great and noble causes to be going, and maybe one could sever that leg, but just like a Hydra or something, boom, it's just, if you're not knocking out the corrupt infrastructure, there's just another one over there. It might spurt out 10 more legs simultaneously. Who are you to know? So as noble as all that is, it's just like, hey, guys, we know better. There's a problem freaking here that we are funding that we must fix. So step off that and let's focus and allocate our time, our energy, our money into the direct threats, and they're right here on our soil. I hope this is making sense. If I got to reshoot this 10 different times, I will. I'm a limited being over here right now. Or if we just got to perfect this message time and time and time again, we will. But I want to see my patriots. I don't want to see them getting lost. I want to see them moving the needle in effective ways on how we can get organized, how we can rule out this corruption. For frick's sake, we got an election coming up, and we can't keep falling for the squirrel tactics. Aliens, solar flares, what's next? This is unbelievable. There's two sides to every story. Something tells me, for example, with what's happening in Israel, if I somehow were able to communicate and mediate between leaders, what's going on, the globalists wouldn't want this to happen. Dare I say, maybe one of these countries wouldn't want it to happen either, because it's not in their financial best interest. Wouldn't that say a lot if they couldn't sit down and communicate and come up with real solutions like real mature individuals without leading to death? I'm just so sick of all this bullshit. I just no longer want people to be made a fool by the globalist. Like, think on it for a second. Could it possibly be that this is a diversion tactic? Could it possibly be something they're instigating that would benefit them no matter what takes place? Because they're being supported and enriched along the way. So all this boils down, kind of just boils back to what matters is here. I mean, legit. What has Israel done for the United States of America ever? Ponder that. Let's just not get caught up in the fluff. What matters is we get things right here in order to effectively be solutions elsewhere. That's what it boils down to. Pardon my French. Once again, I'm not perfect, and I don't like being a poor representative to my Savior that pulled me out of the depths. But I'm seeing too many basically get caught up in the things that aren't helping move the needle in the right direction. So I digress. The fact of the matter is we have plenty of evidence of the corruption right here in America. In my eyes, everything else is noise. Do we use the relationship analogy again? It's like, how are we going to go counsel Israel and its relations when America's relations is on the rocks? The divorce is like, it's like the papers have been signed. And there's all these issues. We can't effectively show up anywhere till we fix things here. And we rule out the corruption. Then maybe we will actually have a fair chance is to get a proper lens and see what's happening in these other situations around the world. But until then, how are we even going to get a straight story? Plus, the priorities out of whack. We as Americans, we can't continually afford to fund these endless wars in Ukraine. You know what it looks like over there to me? They're hiding things. There's more secrecy. There's things in Ukraine, bodies buried essentially, they don't want us to know about. There's bioweapons labs they do not want us to know about. It's the same thing. We should not be engaged. I don't view Vladimir Putin as the boogeyman. Why? Because that's what mainstream media is painting him to be. The same mainstream media that tried to manipulate me and coerce me, and through love, through hate, through fear, to get a bioweapon jab in my arm. Yes, the same people, the same organizations, the same corporations. So I think there's something to that. Once again, how are we going to get a clear picture on that when there's corruption here? No more secrecy. That's how we get to the bottom of things. And the fact of the matter is, there's enough proof right here in this country on so many levels that let's get to the bottom of that. And we as American citizens can accomplish that. Guaranteed. With enough of us getting organized, supporting one another, and we can do this peacefully, patriotically, legally, and without bloodshed. Gosh dang. I love Ivan Raiklin. What a prime example. What a leader. I sure hope it's not just some talk. Stand by, he says. Well, we're standing by, ready to go right now. Let's go. Let's get back our republic. Let's get back our liberty. Let's get back our freedoms. Let's rule out the Fed, the IRS, the three-letter agencies, everything and anything that is no longer operating on behalf of we the people, for the people, and by the people. All right. It's a bit of a rant. I freaking love you guys. I just want to see progress in the right arenas, in the right direction. It is far past time, and there's no more time for all the smoke and the mirrors. If this message somehow resonated with you, strung a chord in you, this is a message you could get behind. Let's create some momentum together. Click the like button. Share this. If you haven't subscribe to Unmuzzled on Rumble especially, but all the different socials, everything, get plugged in. We're spreading information all over this digital freaking crazy age we live in. Help us get organized. Help fund more solutions. I am sick and tired of hearing freaking excuses from men seemingly stronger than I. I'm sick of it. The what differences am I going to make? I have a family to feed. I got a business to run. That's cute. No disrespect to what you're stating, but it's cute in the sense, bro, we're at war. You are not afforded the luxury to not engage. Once again, what happened to America? What it boils down to is what we have allowed to happen to this great nation. So I view that it's an excuse. It's actually weakness. It's actually showing me sickness. Individuals not willing to be honest with themselves as to what's really going on maybe out of fear, and what that would mean it would take out of each one of us to shift things. But we are at this pivotal moment in time. And just imagine for a second, if everyone took that stance, I'm just going to focus on my job. I'm just going to focus on my families. What difference am I going to make? I'm just going to party away my life. The war would be lost. It would all be for naught. Evil would win. It would lead to more and more tyranny, more and more regulations and rules. It wouldn't be seemingly overnight, but it would get worse and worse and worse. And it is not a future. I feel if anyone was actually honest with themselves, they would accept as their future. The reality of it is that bad that I wonder if it's possible of turning around, mainly due to biological warfare and certain things they could do that obviously would just pit people against each other, such as EMPs. I felt like what was being portrayed in Barack Hussein Obama's Fall of America film, Leave the World Behind, was hitting on a truth that with EMPs and certain levels of attack, Americans basically would destroy its own country. You look at New Orleans and certain natural disasters, certain small towns, more so the Republican faith-filled towns, would unite and thrive. But our cities, I'm getting a little lost in the weeds here myself, so I do apologize. I just want to touch on enough things, golly, for us to seize this moment in time and all that we can do. And it isn't doom and gloom. These are glorious, beautiful opportunities. Clearly, so many are just demoralized enough to no longer see it as that. And their perspectives have been tainted and skewed to not being truthful and seeing the reality of it. Therefore, we all could assist our brothers and sisters through examples to maximize today, tomorrow, and this moment in time, each and every day, getting stronger. My strength has come from solely working on my relationship with our Creator and my Savior, Jesus Christ. Forgive me, Jesus, for I'm a sinner and I often step in it. And I do realize that there's a level of things I say that could be stemming up some offense and turning some people off. And that isn't my intent. It's to fuel people and be honest and acknowledge what in the bleep is going on. Okay, as repetitive as all that's been, let's push through. Now, there's many things people attribute JFK's death to, but this particular quote resonates very profoundly considering everything that's going on. So JFK quoted, "There is a plot in this country to enslave every man, woman, and child. Before I leave this high and noble office, I intend to expose this plot." End quote. JFK, 7 days before he was assassinated. In a way, that enslavement, it seems a lot of people are accepting that enslavement. And here I go. It's just so easy for me to get right back up and going around again. Maybe this round will have the impact I'm looking for. Aren't my defects as a man surely shining through? We all got them. Nothing conspiratorial about it. We see the corruption. We see what's going on. Well, what do we do? What do we do? Well, the more we up our health, the more we'll find our own solutions. The more you can add to what we've built here. And that could be invaluable to what we're all trying to accomplish together. But with our views, clicks, likes, and our dollar bills, taking that serious every day. Have you called Patriot Mobile yet? Why fund a tyrannical company that's using your money against us in this war when you can fund a conservative Christian-based company that more than likely you'll get better cellular coverage? It's going to save you money, if not be right around what you're paying anyways, get you potentially out of your contract even. You don't know until you call them. And by using the promo code UNMuzzled, it's going to save you even more money. Or simply click the link below. It's just little steps like that we take that matter. No more secrecy. That's the theme. The White House were unable to track $6.2 billion that was sent to Ukraine. Can we even fathom that? It's such a clown world. California were unable to track $24 billion spent to combat homelessness. The Pentagon were unable to track $2.3 trillion of military spending. This is unbelievable. We don't have to accept this, my brothers and sisters. We do not have to accept this. Why are we accepting this? The U.S. Treasury were unable to track $5 trillion of pandemic spending. The pandemic, $5 trillion. Are you freaking kidding me? There's no accountability. They can't do anything right? Because they're not working on behalf of our benefit. It's solely to enrich themselves. It's solely to appease their slave masters, the globalists, the Illuminati, the elite. I mean, whatever you want to call them. Yet, the IRS knows you spent $601.57 to your friend, and you better report it or you're going to jail. How telling. Isn't this enough? That should be enough. The pandemic should be enough. The invasion should be enough. The sheer hierarchy taking place should be enough. The sheer lies should be enough. We could go on and on. Why hasn't it been enough? Are we really that demoralized? This is where I question. Is it too late? The reality of it potentially being too late is irrelevant. Who was it that stated, even if the world were to end tomorrow, I would plant an apple tree seed today? That's the mindset we all must have. And dare I say, there is grave blessing. I mean, right there in that last minute, especially here, you could potentially fulfill your purpose biblically. Now, it seems this gentleman went scorched earth on the elites, the World Economic Forum, which is wild, by the way, folks. It seems Klaus Schwab, the leader of the World Economic Forum, is stepping down. I wonder as to why. Could it be old age and health? Could that be an excuse? Once again, the why is pretty much irrelevant unless it seems he's hunkering down, bunkering down. Could be an indicator as to maybe something they're rolling out. Give this a listen.
It's laughable that you would, or anyone would, describe Davos as protecting liberal democracy. It's equally,
standing up for it.
It's equally laughable to use the word dictatorship at Davos and aim that at President Trump. In fact, I think that's absurd. But I'm going to step aside from that constructive criticism and instead answer your question.
Yep.
And I'm going to be substantive here. President Trump, if he's the next president, for that matter, I think whoever the next conservative president, is going to take on the power of the elites, which I mentioned earlier. But the thing that I want to drive home here, the very reason that I'm here at Davos, is to explain to many people in this room and who are watching, with all due respect, nothing personal, but that you're part of the problem. Political elites tell the average people on 3 or 4 or 5 issues that the reality is X, when in fact reality is Y. Take immigration.
That's a good point.
Elites tell us that open borders and even illegal immigration are okay.
Yeah.
The average person tells us in the United States that both rob them of the American way of life. They're right. President Trump will take that on behalf of the average American. Elites also tell us that public safety isn't a problem in big American cities. Just travel to New York or Washington or Dallas, Texas.
Right.
The average person will tell you that the lack of public safety damages not just the American way of life, but their life. President Trump will take that on. Thirdly, I guess the favorite at the World Economic Forum is climate change. Elites tell us that we have this existential crisis with so-called climate change, so much so that climate alarmism is probably the greatest cause for mental health crisis in the world. The solutions, the average person know, based on climate change are far worse and more harmful and cost more human lives, especially in Europe during the time that you need heating, than do the problem and the problems themselves.
Great point.
Fourth, two more here, Robin. Okay.
By the way, it's been completely debunked. Everything we're doing is, in fact, helping greenery and stuff. It's just more nefarious plans. Once again, can't effectively get to the bottom of that till we rule out the corruption. Then we can effectively show up on behalf of Mother Earth. But we can't do that with these evil oligarchs, essentially with these big fundings and these big networks skewing things. They're so evil and cunning. Unless it's help exposing the corruption and getting people ignited and united on facing the corruption, that's where we're going to try to hold ourselves accountable on feeding things that matter and not get caught up in the smoke. Any point I'm getting caught up in the smoke here, call me out. There's got to be a bigger point to it than just entertainment. Yes, some of these topics can be very entertaining, but we're not an entertainment station. We are here to save the world.
The fourth, China. The number one adversary, not just to the United States, but to free people on planet Earth. Not only do we at Davos not say that, we give the Chinese Communist Party a platform. Count on President Trump ending that nonsense.
Awesome.
And fifth, as we sit here, another supranational organization, the World Health Organization, is discussing foisting gender ideology upon the global South. These are practices that are under review, if not being rejected, by countries in Northern Europe. The new president, especially if it's President Trump, will, as you like to say, trust the science. He will understand the basic biological reality of manhood and womanhood. And do you know why? Not because of retribution, not because he's a dictator, but because he has the power of the American people behind him.
Yes.
And it's connected to Senator Portman's excellent point that in addition to needing a vigorous executive, we look forward to having the popular will inform both the House and Senate in 2025 to pass laws on all of those issues and many others. Ultimately, Robin, I think President Trump, if in fact he wins a second term, is going to be inspired by the wise words of Javier Milei, who said that he was in power not to guide sheep, but to awaken lions. That's what the average American and the average free person on planet Earth wants out of leaders.
Very well said. We need a leader that is here not to guide sheep, but awaken lions. We must break out the defective wiring that we've covered here, where the Rockefellers infiltrated our education systems to create a nation of workers and not a nation of thinkers. So when we can break out that wiring, break out of that box, let's become lions, free thinkers, and not just sheep following along. With that amazing clip, let's dive over. Well, there's two things he touched on there. There's no such thing as trans and all this trash they're pushing. My heart goes out to those that fall for it. But there's two sexes, female and male. And it's clear. And in this interview, yeah, he traps her, but it really points out the hierarchy in a sense of with even this fictional, destructive, toxic ideology. Give this a listen.
You got in trouble for refusing to call trans men and women by their preferred personal pronouns.
No, that's not actually true. I got in trouble because I said I would not follow the compelled speech dictates of the federal and provincial government. I actually never got in trouble for not calling anyone anything. That didn't happen.
You wouldn't follow the change of law, which was designed
not once
to
it was
outlaw
law.
discrimination.
No.
You cited freedom of speech in that. Why should your right to freedom of speech trump a trans person's right not to be offended?
Because in order to be able to think, you have to risk being offensive. I mean, look at the conversation we're having right now. You know, like you're certainly willing to risk offending me in the pursuit of truth. Why should you have the right to do that? It's been rather uncomfortable.
Well, I'm very glad I put you on the spot.
You get my point. You're doing what you should do, which is digging a bit to see what the hell's going on.
Yes.
And that is what you should do. But you're exercising your freedom of speech to certainly risk offending me.
Yes.
And that's fine. I think more power to you as far as I'm concerned.
I'm just trying to work that out. I mean...
Ha, gotcha.
You have got me. You got in trouble for refusing to call trans men and women.
At least she had the brain to admit, you have got me. So many would just lose it. You're such a bigot. I can't believe you wouldn't affirm their rights, delusional. But more of us need to stand based in truth. And that man is leading in a way. Like he wasn't argumentative. He's paving a way for us to interact in more so effective, loving ways. Think about it. I before the clip, I went into it talking about the hierarchy because they preyed on our heartstrings initially as a live and let live, right? And we were such believers in freedom, sure. Gay marriage, and then it just continues. But it was never that. It was live and let us rule. Went beyond that. And now think about it. They're trying to dictate our speech, our own mouths, our own thoughts, our own beliefs. That is wrong. It's as if I'm a believer in Jesus as Lord and Savior. So what's the difference of me getting any pronoun alphabet mafia individual and saying like, look, no, you must claim Jesus is King, Lord and Savior. It's the same. Now it's not the same because there's truth. Jesus is the Lord and Savior. However, I'll admit it is wrong for me to dictate that upon someone else, just as they are trying to dictate their belief on me. Will they admit wrongdoing there? Have they? No. At the root of this, it's fictional, toxic, evil. Why are we tolerating it? Why don't we stand on firm stones in reality and biblical truths? Another point he touched on, how we're not safe with the borders and that Trump will fix that. This is titled, if this stuff doesn't piss you off, I don't know what will. But once again, America, when is enough enough? Give this a look.
Straight from San Diego, straight to Chicago, so we could show you what treason looks like. This is what we captured.
So this building here, I think it was called the American Club. Go and get closer to it. The name of it is on the outside. But this is where they live in this building. They live in this building, and which is right on the side of the federal building. We're talking. The Justice Department is right here, and right across the street is Dick Durbin's office, the U.S. Senator. He don't care. Right across the street is Dick Durbin's office, the U.S. Senator. He don't care. Oh, I didn't know that. We're not allowed to talk, see it?
You are not allowed to record in here.
Why? So why?
You need to speak to someone?
All right, it's glitching really bad.
You shit.
I'm asking you for a second. Please step.
Don't ask me nothing.
I'm gonna ask you to please step out.
They get physical. They try to
I
threaten.
see what to walk in, and then we get a call, and they yell at, curse that, and then they call the police. Call the police, and we just walk in
dang.
thinking, well,
I apologize. We're just going to have to cut this segment. I don't know why it's glitching out. Everything else seems to be operating just fine. But I love how these men talk about this is nothing shy of treasonous. It's exactly what it is. Why are we allowing that? There's so much we could do. We don't have to see out the term of this installed puppet. We don't. There's so much we could do. And it's getting out of hand. An illegal murdered this 19-year-old boy. I mean, it's adding up. How is it that if any individual were to poison their own kid, I mean, who would? But they would go to jail, right? Clearly, and they should. But if Monsanto or Pfizer or the health organization or Tyson Foods poisons your kid, they get FDA approval. Let that be enough. Now, there are a couple clips here that left me speechless. Let's check them out. Not just me speechless.
Attorney General Garland, you said in our last exchange that it's your practice to defer to FBI agents in the field. I was interested, given your answer, to read in this morning's Washington Post that the FBI is saying that you overruled them when it came to raiding ex-President Trump's personal residence. Washington Post reports this morning, showdown before the raid, that senior FBI officials who would be in charge of leading the search resisted doing so as too combative. These field agents wanted to shutter the criminal investigation altogether, but they were overruled by Maine DOJ.
I've skimmed that article. That's not an accurate reflection of what the article says, and I'm not able to comment on the investigation. My comment earlier was about tactics on the ground in particular cases.
Wait. You said it's not I'm reading to you from the article. Quote, senior FBI officials who would be in charge of leading the search resisted the plan as too combative and proposed instead to seek Trump's permission to seek his property, according to 4 people, in quote.
There is often a robust discussion, and in the end, and it's encouraged among investigators and prosecutors.
But yes, and you made the decision.
I did. That's
right. You said you did.
No, I'm sorry. What I said was I approved the decision.
So you didn't make the decision to raid?
I approved the decision to seek a search warrant after probable cause was
overruling the FBI agents who did not want to do so. Did you talk about this with the White House?
The memorandum does not. Washington Post article does not say what you're saying.
Can't even find his words.
Want to do so. Did you talk about this with the White House?
The memorandum does not. Washington Post article does not say what you're saying.
Yeah, they're in hot water. They set the precedents, and we could actually do it by the book. Unlike them, there's a reason why he's stumbling over his words. They are in big trouble.
The precedent has been set, though, Cash, that you get indicted and have to face jail time. Look at Steve Bannon.
Yeah.
And even though I believe it was wrong, I think Steve Bannon had actually executive privilege here. And so there's now a precedent where they better follow these subpoenas, or else a defiance of a congressional subpoena can mean jail time. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. But here's where that we have a Department of Justice that is a two-tier system of justice.
Of course, obviously, yes.
But here's the kicker. When you have a Department of Justice that you cannot rely on to fulfill a congressional subpoena and force people who violate it, Congress actually has this thing called inherent contempt of Congress powers, which means the Speaker of the House can send the Sergeant-at-Arms out and go and arrest anyone that defies a congressional subpoena. Wow. Now, if you want to see whether these Republicans actually have backbone, that's the law.
Slow down.
They can do
slow down. So we got 45 seconds. I've never heard that before. Let's say Fauci defies a subpoena.
Yeah. He can be arrested by the Sergeant-at-Arms and held in detention.
Where?
Well, there are jail cells at the bottom of the Capitol building. People don't know that, but they're there.
You're blowing my mind, Cash. You got my mind thinking here. People say they'll never get arrested. We'll see. I did not know that.
That's exciting stuff. Charlie seemed pretty stumped and excited. See, they're doing good things too. No more rules for thee and not for me. It's time for accountability on all these individuals that have gotten away with far too much. They are not above the law. None of them. Okay, this is breaking. I freaking love it. Peru officially classifies transgender people as mentally ill. Under the decree signed by their president, transsexualism, dual role, transvestism, gender identity disorder in childhood or other gender identity disorders and fetishes are now all recorded as mental illnesses. Peru's governor argues the decree will make psychological treatment freely available for those affected and said it categorically reaffirms respect for the dignity of the person and their free actions within the framework of human rights, providing health services for their benefit. Fan-freaking-tastic. Can we make this happen right here in America? This is nuts. One of the scariest things titled you'll ever see. The U.S. chair of the Council of Economic Advisors doesn't know how the government prints money. Listen to this for yourself.
Obviously begs the question, why exactly are we borrowing in a currency that we print ourselves? I'm waiting for someone to stand up and say, why do we borrow our own currency in the first place?
Great question.
Like you said, they print the dollar. So why does the government even borrow?
Well, again, some of this stuff gets, some of the language that some of the language and concepts are just confusing. I mean, the government definitely prints money, and it definitely lends that money, which is why the government definitely prints money, and then it lends that money by selling bonds. Is that what they do?
Oh my gosh.
They sell bonds. Yeah, they sell bonds, right? Because they sell bonds and people buy the bonds and lend them the money. Yeah. So a lot of times, at least to my ear with MMT, the language and the concepts can be kind of unnecessarily confusing, but there is no question that the government prints money and then it uses that money to, I guess I can't really talk. I don't get it. I don't know what they're talking about. Like, cause it's like the government clearly prints money. It does it all the time and it clearly borrows. Otherwise.
Wow. U.S. Chair of the Council of Economic Advisors. There it is, people. There you have it. Wonder what his salary is. I don't even want to play this, but people are literally being possessed. Gotta give snips as to the evil that's behind these agendas and why we must follow suit is to getting proper treatment for said individuals so it can no longer poison the minds of our children or societies. Yeah, it's a grown woman, grown man.
Do you know what makes me special? I'm a queer. And I'm a witch!
Wow. It's going to give people nightmares. It doesn't make you special. Maybe your mental illness does. I'd venture to say that individual, there's so many different things that could be impacting them, from the childhood vaccine schedule and heavy metals and parasites. But definitely spiritual warfare. 100%. Okay, give this one a listen. Because, gosh dang it, who in their right mind would go threaten the deep state and the globalists' plans that have infiltrated so much, that own so much, and personally put themselves through so much persecution? Who in their right mind? None other than Donald Trump. Like, give this a listen, folks.
Understood that you obviously can't let it be stolen or the country's finished as a republic. But he also knew in front of him everything that would happen. He knew they would come after him to destroy his reputation. He knew they would try to bankrupt him. He knew they would try to put him in prison. He knew, right, that they have to, they would try to kill him. He knew. He made a decision consciously, understanding all that. Hey, we need to save this country just like that. It's even more heroic than what he did in 16.
Well, in 16, but he knew it then too. I wrote about it in my book. I think we've discussed it before. It says we're going down the elevator right before he sort of did the infamous escalator ride down to give his announcement speech. He looked me in the eyes and he says, and now we find out who our real friends are. Which meant two things, right? A, he knew what was going to happen. He knew that all of a sudden every celebrity that you used to have lunch with or whatever it was, or
come up to the town to hang out,
they'd be gone. But more important than that, to your point, I think, is he knew it was going to happen and he did it anyway.
Amen.
So it wasn't like he was naive and it was like, oh, he woke up, I can't believe this happened, I had no idea. Like, he knew exactly what would happen and he did it anyway. And so he's been very consistent about that. We have to fight to save the republic because it is on the table. It is at risk.
Yes, sir. It absolutely blows my mind as to how people can stay completely ignorant to the amazing things Trump did on behalf of our freedoms and putting the power back in the people's hands, in less government, in less tax. The list is great as to what Trump did for the people. But the mind-blowing part of it all is how people can just gravitate towards the very deep state, the very evil entities he was exposing on behalf of the people to the benefit of the people. But those very entities he exposed slandered him in ways that people just drank it up and just loved to hate Trump. My mind is blown. You don't have to love that man to see what good he has done. But like they mentioned, it's nothing shy of heroic as to the position he put himself in to benefit us. And for the first president ever to no benefit, Evo tries skewing it as though he's benefiting in these other ways where he's the only one that I'm aware of in any political office, down to even Senate, any position of power, that actually went in more wealthy than when he left office. Folks need to cut that man a little more slack. We are all sinners. Let me ask you a question. What bothers you more? Trump paying off Stormy Daniels with his own money, or Schiff paying off a 19-year-old boy with your taxpayer dollars? What bothers you more? That in and of itself highlights corruption. All right, check this one out. Today I learned that the ancient Greeks, inventors of a democracy, would elect their officials to 1-year terms. Each official's finances were audited at the beginning and the end of their terms. If anything was amiss, they would be tried and executed. Is that potentially a checks and balance that we need to instigate right here to ensure no corruption, no outside monies, no infiltration, that they fulfill their role as serving the people? Beautiful imagery here. The Matrix, the evil character, of course. I don't even see the Oscars anymore. I just see Epstein Island visitors. Yeah. I've never watched the Oscars. Certain clips, certain things come across literally. Like I can't. There's so many of the Hollywood films I can't even take serious because I know so many of the individuals that others enjoy seeing on their tellies, not even knowing what they're engaging in. But it's Epstein Island visitor levels, to say the least. So evil. Are we awake yet? Because no matter how bad you are at math, you should be able to figure this out. And it has all these different states. It has the registered votes, the projected votes, and the turnouts. Nevada being over 125%. Pennsylvania over 109%. Minnesota over 107%. North Carolina over 106%. I mean, it goes on and on and on. If this doesn't bother you, it states you ain't an American. It's true. This is clear election fraud. Clear. There's a lot of preparations we're not engaging in that we need to gear up for. And I sure hope Ivan Raiklin and his course of action will lead to some of those solutions. Poll worker right here in the state of Arizona testified. Hear her out.
This is the duplication room. I observed with my Democratic partner the preparation of a new ballot since the original one was soiled or wouldn't go through the tabulators. I read her a Trump Republican ballot, and as soon as she entered it into the system, the ballot defaulted on the screen to a Biden Democratic ballot.
Weird.
We reported this to the supervisors, and others in the room commented that they had witnessed the same manipulation.
Weird.
We were never told what, if any, corrective action was taken. All I know is the next day I was called outside the room that I was working in signature verification by the supervisor saying, I understand you caused some problems this week, and saying that you thought our machines were not working correctly. And I was being the one that was scolded.
Unacceptable.
And I was told at that point in time I could not discuss anything or talk about what was going on, as many people were threatened.
Wow.
Because they were told that their voices would be suppressed. They would be either have to leave the room and not work there again. I'm here because I think this is our duty to speak the truth.
Yes. Bless you, ma'am. Appreciate you. Hear you loud and clear. Unbelievable. Now, no, Rudy Giuliani is facing 9 felony charges for questioning this election. We truly live in a clown world, and the Democrats are the clowns. Cannot allow this to continue any longer. George Washington, amazing quote, a free people ought not only be armed and disciplined, but they should have sufficient arms and ammunition to maintain a status of independence from any who might attempt to abuse them, which would include their own government. Amen. Can you believe that the current pedophile pants pooper threatened his own citizens, needing F-16s and unbelievable. Okay, this is dragging out a bit longer. No wonder they're trying to cancel Russell Brand. This was great.
Yes. Out of respect for you and your show, I thought some facts.
Your show.
Would you?
They try shutting them down too.
Actually,
you just get the fuck out of here. This is not the place.
We
like facts. I love facts.
I wouldn't have mentioned it. I'm English, and you know that politeness is our fundamental religion.
Right. But he goes over some powerful things that should help wake us up.
But But they do pertain to this issue, so may I say something? If they inconvenience you, I'll stop saying them. The pandemic created at least 40 new big pharma billionaires. Pharmaceutical corporations like Moderna and Pfizer made $1,000 of profit every second from the COVID-19 vaccine. More than two-thirds of Congress received campaign funding from pharmaceutical companies in the 2020 election. Pfizer chairman Albert Bourla told Time magazine in July 2020 that his company was developing a COVID vaccine for the good of humanity, not for money. And of course, Pfizer made $100 billion in profit in 2022. And may I just mention that finally, and this is also a fact, that you, the American public, funded the development of that. The German public funded the BioNTech vaccine. When it came to the profits, they took the profits. When it came to the funding, you paid for the funding. All I'm querying is this, is if you have an economic system in which pharmaceutical companies benefit hugely from medical emergencies, where a military-industrial complex benefits from war, where energy companies benefit from energy crises, you are going to generate states of perpetual crisis, where the interests of ordinary people...
Do you guys capture that? Let's replay that. It's so powerful.
Funded the BioNTech vaccine. When it came to the profits, they took the profits. When it came to the funding, you paid for the funding. All I'm querying is this, is if you have an economic system in which pharmaceutical companies benefit hugely from medical emergencies, where a military-industrial complex benefits from war, where energy companies benefit from energy crises, you are going to generate states of perpetual crisis, where the interests of ordinary people separate from the interests of the elite.
3 words. Corruption. Corruption? Could you guess the third? Corruption. Let's rule it out together. Now let's end on a couple lovely notes, shall we? Because it's not all doom and gloom. I'd venture to say heroes every day. And this is a hero. I guess... This probably won't translate very well in the audio version. So I'll go ahead and do a quick brief explanation. But this is titled, "This is the kind of teacher that you will remember for the rest of your life." And it's this very lovely lady waiting outside the door of the classroom. She seemed to create these 4 little signs that she's hung on the wall. So lower on the wall. There's 4 different pictures that they can slap and they could choose. And it is so cute to see all these kids go through the line as they're entering the classroom for the day. It seems like this is a daily ritual, and they get to slap the sign they want to do with the teacher. 1 sign's a high five. 1 sign is a hug. 1 sign is let's boogie. And they do a dance. I think I'm missing one. 1, high five, boogie, hug. Let's play the clip. It's important that we balance things out to keep our sanity. And I just found this so heartwarming and beautiful. Let's play this.
Okay, sit down. Abigail, which one do you want? Thank you. Good morning.
She wants a hug.
Brian, good morning.
High five.
James, good morning. Emma, which one do you want? I think. Okay, come on. Good morning. That one. Good morning, Finn. Good morning, Al.
Boogie.
Which one would you like? Jackson, which one would you like?
Boogie.
Which one do you want? Colton. Ready? Good morning.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, sit down.
That is precious. We must protect our littles. That is amazing. My hat is off to that lady. And speaking of teachers, these teachers saved up enough money to buy a janitor a car after they saw him walking to work. It's beautiful.
You still got left. You still got your money?
1,500.
Here, then. It was a little bit more, and so the school got together and we raised the rest of the money, and it's yours.
We love you.
We love you. We love you.
God. There is a God.
There is a God.
Thank you. Oh, I thank you. Oh, God, thank you. Oh,
gratitude.
Oh, it's all the people. There's a lot of love
what
here.
they say about people is not real.
Let that breathe light into you. There is a God. Gratitude. What they say is not real, aka evil. The rulers, demonic. Folks, I am so grateful for you. I know together we are going to more than make some waves. And I'm just grateful to blow this up more and more each and every day with your help. We got this. Okay, we got May 21st. I was about to read the wrong one. Let's do the daily devotional, and that'd be a wrap. I, the creator of the universe, am with you and for you. Once again, I'm reading it. I'm too dumb to change the words as I'm reading it for you. So just know it reads for the reader. I, the creator of the universe, am with you and for you. What more could you need? When you feel some lack, it is because you're not connecting with me at a deep level. I offer abundant life. Your part is to trust me, refusing to worry about anything. It is not so much adverse events that make you anxious as it is your thoughts about those events. Your mind engages in efforts to take control of a situation, to bring about the results you desire. Your thoughts close in on the problem like ravenous wolves, determined to make things go your way. You forget that I am in charge of your life. The only remedy is to switch your focus from the problem to my presence. Stop all your striving and watch to see what I will do. I am the Lord. Wow. We got Romans 8:31-32. What shall we say about such wonderful things as these? If God is for us, who can ever be against us? Since he did not spare even his own son, but gave him up for us all, won't he also give us everything else? God is so loving. We are clearly not worthy, but he paved a way for us. It's beautiful. Wow. Micah, am I saying that right? It's like, I never even knew. But we got, I think it's right. Micah 7:7. As for me, I look to the Lord for help. I wait confidently for God to save me, and my God will certainly hear me. Yes, he will. Folks, it's no longer so much about what happened to America. It is what it is, and it is clear. What is important is that we acknowledge the deteriorated state it has become. The levels of infiltration evil has effectively gotten to. And it's healthy to question things. And let's be honest with ourselves from here on out. And let's stop getting caught up in the division tactics and the squirrel over here, over there, and keep the eye on the prize and rule out corruption together. From the head of the snake, we got this. Thank you so much for your support. Let's get this message out there. Let's go. Love you. Till next time. Take care.